Okay, thank you, Erica. So NEPS Australia, MEPS India, ISMA FASI Indonesia, APS Japan, MyPSA Malaysia, NZEPSO New Zealand, PPHSF Pakistan, FJC PPHA Philippines, KNEPS Republic of Korea, NUSPS Singapore, PSET Thailand, TDTU Pure Vietnam. Did I mention KNEPS Republic of Korea? Oh, yes, I did. All right. 1, 2, 3. Yep, all 4 members present.
Okay. With that, I would like to. Do we have any proposal and second to resume standing orders? Thank you. Proposed by NAFSA Australia and seconded by Benfit Viewer Indonesia. With the procedure motion to resume standing orders, full members, if you wish, if you are for this motion, please put a Y in the chat box. Otherwise, if you are against this motion, please put an N in the chat box for full members. Okay, we have a simple majority to pass the motion. Procedure motion has passed to procedure motion was passed to resume standing order. So I will give me a moment to pull out the give me a moment to share the screen, the parliamentary system. Okay, before we begin this motion, I would like to pass the floor to Suin Lee, IPSF APRO Regional Secretary, to give a few reminders and instructions regarding a few procedures that concerns the few of the upcoming motions. So, Suin, the floor is yours.
Hi, TK. Thanks for the floor. This is IPSF APRO Secretary Suin. Just before we start on the elections, I wanted to address the Regional Assembly to ensure that we are all clear on the election and voting procedures associated with the RWG elections. You would have been briefed by the documents and the instructions that have been shared prior to the Regional Assembly. This can also be found in the Regional Assembly folder. In folder 3, I believe, elections and bidding process. So first of all, the election and nominations of the RWG takes a generally similar structure. So first of all, the nominee will be presenting their speech, and then we will have open discussion with all of the RA, and then we will progress to closed discussion. And then after that, the secret ballot will take place, and then the election results will be announced to the RA through the scrutineers and the secretary. In the process, for the nominations, the chair will first share the... Sorry, can I just ask the person to turn off the microphone? Thank you. The chair will first briefly share the nomination form of the nominee, and then they will have 3 minutes time limit strictly to present their speech. And if they exceed the time limit, their microphone will be muted, as this time limit is mandated by the official documents. And then we will move on to the next nominee straight away. If there is a second nominee, all the discussions will happen after the nominations finish. When we progress on to open discussion led by the chair, each person commenter will have 1 minute to ask a question, and then each nominee will have 1 minute each to answer the questions. The order of answering the question will be alternated. So for example, nominee 1 and then 2 will answer the first question, and then 2 and 1, 1 and 2. Or if there are 3 nominees, it will be 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, etc. Once that open discussion is done, when we go into closed discussion, we will need to have everybody with their cameras on, with their hands to the screen. This is to ensure that we prevent any communications outside of the closed discussion room. You will have to have your camera on at all times, otherwise you may be removed from the closed discussion. And also all persons in the closed discussion must be a registered attendee of the RA. After the closed discussions are over, we will move on to secret ballot, during which each 4-member organization will be moved into a separate breakout room with all of the official delegates. They'll have 2 minutes to discuss and then place their vote through the pre-nominated email address that you guys have sent me. The voting links will be sent out live to those email addresses at the time of the voting, and our scrutineers and myself will count up the votes and release them into the parliamentary system when they're ready. Just when you're asking questions to the nominees, please ensure that they address all nominees that are present for that election, so not directed towards a specific nominee. At this point, does anybody have a question regarding the election procedure? If so, please raise it in the chat box. It seems like there are no questions, in which case we will progress onto the election, but please make sure that when you are addressing the nominees, you address them appropriately. I'll hand the floor back to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Suin, for the reminder. With that, I would like to proceed to motion 54. Motion 54 reads this: the 24th IPSF Asia Pacific Regional Assembly nominates the following candidate as the chairperson of IPSF Asia Pacific Regional Office for the year 2022-2023. We did have one nomination for the okay. I will pass back the chair, not chair. I'll pass back the floor to Suin for one last reminder. The floor is yours, Sue.
Thank you, TK, for the chair. This is IPSF APRO Secretary Suin. Sorry, one more reminder. With the elections, one important thing to remember for the full members is that we need a simple majority for a single candidate to be elected or nominated. This means that if there are 2 candidates running, even if one gets more vote than the other, if the more vote is not simple majority, then they can't be elected. And then we either have to propose a motion to reconsider the election or open up the second round nominations. So please keep that in mind when you're making your votes. So in this case, we have 12 full members in attendance. That means that we will need 7 votes minimum for a single candidate to be elected. And this also applies for candidates who are running uncontested. They must have simple majority to be elected. For any clarifications, please make sure you can reach me through the official delegates group or send me an email as well. Okay, I'll hand back the floor to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Suin. So for this motion, we did have receive one submission from Mr. Bill Wilson John. So I will screen briefly of his nomination form before I give him the floor to deliver his 3-minute speech. So meanwhile, if you have not had a chance to look at it, you can look at it while it is being screened. Okay, with that, I would like to just give me a moment. Okay, so meeting secretaries and the rest, if you please help me to monitor the 3 minutes speech. So Bill, 3 minutes, are you here?
Yes, TK.
Thank you. Bill, you have 3 minutes to deliver your speech before the assembly, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor. IPSF APRO united in our excellence. This is what I envision IPSF APRO to be in the next mandate. Hi everyone, I am Bill from the Philippines, and I'm running to be the IPSF Chairperson for the Asia Pacific Regional Office for the years 2022 to 2023. Ever since I joined the last physical APPS in Bandung, IPSF has been a big part of who I am. I've joined dozens of initiatives by both the global team and the regional office. I have actively participated in all forms of IPSF's activities, may it be as reception committee for APPS, as a subcommittee member of IPSF APRO, as a contact person of a member organization, as a delegate to the WHO Regional Committee meeting and the World Health Assembly, and as a member of the Regional Working Group. Now, I aim to further my commitment to IPSF APRO as the next IPSF Chairperson of the Asia Pacific Regional Office. Next mandate, we will move forward through synergy and collaboration with no one left behind. We will maintain and work on standards that IPSF APRO has set during the previous mandates. We will continue the work on advocacy, public health, pharmacy education, and professional development, and integrate new initiatives such as an innovation competition. We will partner with different IPSF regional offices and external stakeholders to ensure that the voice of our over 70,000 members are recognized both in the region and worldwide. We will set our sights into having more involvement in the regional offices of other student healthcare organizations and produce sustainable goals together through the creation of annual working plans. We will provide more opportunities and avenues for contact persons to communicate and collaborate with each other. And we will make sure that everyone in IPSF APRO benefits from our activities. We will reinvigorate our engagement with alumni, improve our incentives for the IPSF APRO subcommittee members, and refine communication platforms with member organizations. We will have systematic improvements to the overall workflow of the regional office to make sure that all of our efforts will benefit not only the next mandate, but also the succeeding ones. IPSF APRO is family, and as long as I can, I'll help my family be the best version of itself. Again, I am Bill from the Philippines, running to be your IPSF Chairperson for the Asia Pacific Regional Office for the years 2022 to 23. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, for your speech. With that, I would like to open the floor for discussion the open discussion. Okay, we do have friends Matthew F. Tagdaran from UFA Philippines. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for apologies.
Sorry, go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair, for the floor. So I am Matthew from the Philippines, and I do have one question. So as a current member of the regional working group, I presume that you have worked closely with the current chairperson. Would you care to discuss some aspects of the current chairperson's leadership that you wish not to pursue in the case that you get elected as the next chairperson of IPSF APRO? That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to pass the floor to Bill. Bill, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor. And thank you, Matthew, for your question. So that is a very difficult question as I was heavily working closely with TK, our current chairperson. He has a lot of working workflows that is beneficial for the regional office. However, something that I may improve is our connection with the regional subcommittee. Since I think there may be more ways that we can involve the subcommittee. So for example, we can have subcommittee awards, and also we can have networking events wherein different people from different subcommittees. So for example, a member of the Regional Relations Subcommittee may get to know a member of the Regional Media and Publication Subcommittee. I think that is something that we can improve, and it gives our subcommittee members more initiatives to join, as they know that it is not only work when they are actively part of IPSF APRO. So that is my answer for your question. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind the assembly of the time limit for the question and answer is 1 minute each. I forgot to mention before I open the floor, my apologies. But yeah, it's 1 minute each. Yeah, with that, could we update the speaker list, please? And can we clear the speaker list unless there's a direct? Okay, we do have an observer. Okay, can I get a sorry, motion committee, can we ascertain if there's a new comment from observer? Okay, there's no new comments. I'll wait for another. Okay, there's one new comment from observer. Can we identify the observer who raised his comment?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Okay. Okay, observer, before you speak,
Yeah.
please introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
sorry. Apologies. Alan from Malaysia, Observer Malaysia. Yeah, I believe that's my comment. Do I have permission to speak, Chair?
Yes, observer, the floor is yours.
Thank you. All right, once again, Alan, Observer Malaysia. Thank you for our presentation. I believe that in your nomination form, you mentioned about improving communications with the member organizations across APRO region, as well as in extending relations to other countries, which we haven't been able to establish a link with, such as Sri Lanka. I'd just like to hear about your strategy in improving communications among member organizations in APRO, and what are the expected outcomes that you would like to see and that member organizations can actually expect from you by the end of the tenure. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, observer. I'd like to pass the floor back to Bill. Bill, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, Alan, for your question. So this is also something that I brainstormed in collaboration with the different contact persons during my mandate as Regional Relations Officer. So first of all, I noticed that we don't have super active engagement in some of our group chats and our one-on-one group chats for the regional office. And upon further investigation, it led us to believe that other communication platforms aren't as used as some of the other platforms that we use. So for example, some contact persons and other executives from a member organization, they don't really use a messenger anymore, but we still have some messages that we deliver through Facebook Messenger. So in that sense, what we can do with that as the regional working group, we can find the platforms that that member organizations are more convenient in using, so that we can have more active participation from these member organizations. And then that is our expected output once we do change the platform. And also I noticed that some of our contact persons have trouble getting through their emails. So
sorry, Bill, the time is up for a minute. I apologize. We do have a direct comment from observer. Observer, the floor is yours. Alan?
Alan, Observer my PS Malaysia, I do not think that is my comment. Yeah.
Can we verify who is the observer that raised the direct? The motion committee. Okay. Okay. Do we have the observer who raised the direct? Okay. Since there is no direct, since no one came forward, we will not take this comment and move on to the next new comment, please. Okay. Can we get the new comment on the parliamentary system? And clear the speaker list, please. Can we clear the speaker list? Oh, okay. Another observer. Can the observer who raised this new comment to come forward in the chat box, please? Who was the observer? Okay. At this point, I would like to pass the floor to Surin, IPSF APRO Regional Secretary. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor. This is IPSF APRO Secretary Soen. I just wanted to make one clarification for the RA. If you're an observer and you have raised a comment, please make sure that you identify yourself and put yourself forward in the chat box so we can identify who it is that put in the comment. I understand that it can be confusing with multiple observer comments coming through. So in that case, feel free to drop a confidential comment or private chat through the Zoom chat, and we will order you accordingly, just so that we can run efficiently and be able to give you some floor for you to address your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Right now, we will take the next new comment from Fanny Annabelle Sulistio from BFF UI Indonesia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor. I'm Fanny from BMFFUI. Thank you, Bill, for being a nominee in this election. Could you please further elaborate what kind of systematic improvement that you will bring towards the next mandate? Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. With that, I would like to pass the floor to Bill. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, Fanny, for your question. So for systematic improvement, I think there is a lot to be done when it comes to the workflow. So for example, when the regional projects officer is requesting for an external speaker for an event, we do have a document that we use to research more on the speakers and have things clarified with the regional projects officer. So in that sense, I aim to make things more uniform so that every project we have the same kind of document that we will be using, and so that it's easier for both the regional projects officer and the regional relations officer to do their work. And additionally, I think the workflow can be improved when it comes to the timeline of the different activities. So for example, something that was set also during this mandate is the timeline for RMPO proposals for the regional working group. So in that sense, we also aim to do that in the next mandate, having timelines for the different deliverables expected of the different RWG members. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Next new comment, I would like to pass the floor to Ms. Patricia Heidi from BFF UI Indonesia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is Heidi from BFF UI. Hi, Bill. I would like to first thank you for running as chairperson for the next mandate. And I would like to ask, as a chairperson, you are responsible to lead your RWG members. And considering that we may have different personalities in one team, how do you ensure that your team could stay together to work for one whole mandate? Thank you.
Thank you. From Heidi from Patricia Heidi from BFF UI Indonesia. Bill, you have 1 minute to answer the question. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, Heidi, for your question. So I believe when it comes to different personalities, it's really inevitable for us to find when it comes to different personalities, it's something that must be set early on during the mandate. So what I'll do to make sure that our personalities don't clash is that we set our expectations in our first meeting. And we also tell each other that there are certain standards that even though we have different personalities, there are things that we cannot compromise when it comes to each other's values and when it comes to each other's characteristics. So that is something that I look forward to the next set of regional working group for IPSF APRO. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Bill. With that, I would like to pass the floor to Yue Chun Lai from IPSC Malaysia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is Eugene from IPSA Malaysia. So my question for Bill is that based on your manifesto of with no one left behind, so can I have a clearer mechanism of how are you going to measure the success of this manifesto, as all of the points that you mentioned are quite subjective and it's hard to measure and it's not systematic in terms of the result obtained from different person's perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. For the question, I'd like to pass the floor to Bill to address the question. We have 1 minute. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, Eugene, for your question. So when it comes to having no one left behind, the success rate or the metrics that I'll be using is, first of all, when it comes to member organizations, I will measure it when it comes to their participation and their activeness when it comes to replying to the different communications set by the regional working group. So for example, if a message has been sent to a certain member organization, we are expecting them to answer within 1 day, or if not, at least within 1 week. And then when it comes to other parts of no one left behind, when it comes to alumni engagement, we hope that at least there will be a 50% increase in our alumni engagement right now. So that is around 10 alumni having actively participated in our different events in IPSF APRO. And when it comes to our subcommittee members, the effect of no one left behind, that is having networking events and subcommittee awards, will be measured through evaluation forms at the end of the mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. 1 minute is up. I would like to move on to the next new comment. Ms. Agnes Gracia Wibisuno from HMF AP ITB Indonesia. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, TK, for the floor. I'm Agnes from HMF AP ITB Indonesia. Thank you, Bill, for your nomination. With World Congress being hosted by one of the APRO members organization next year, what are your plans to support for the planning and the execution of World Congress? Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes, for the question. I would like to pass the floor to Bill to address the question. Bill, 1 minute is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, Agnes, for your question. So when it comes to the World Congress, will be something that the regional chairperson will be supporting through the help of the executive committee, and like the APPS, which is supported by the regional chairperson through the help of the regional working group. So when it comes to the World Congress, as the chairperson of the regional office, I will be helping when it comes to finding some external partners that have been set on the regional level, as we are closer to Indonesia, and some of the sponsors can be from the regional office as well. So this is also in collaboration with the external chairperson. And additionally, we will also be helping with some of the workshops, symposia, and competitions to be set by the World Congress in collaboration with the Professional Development Chairperson next mandate. And additionally, we will always be available when it comes to any support that the World Congress is needing for the next mandate. Thank you, Agnes, for your question.
Thank you, Bill. I would like to move on to the next new comment from Rajesh Sharma from IPSF India. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for giving the floor. Rajesh Sharma, IPSF India. So thank you so much, Bill, for your presentation and your application. I have two questions. As you mentioned in your application that you are planning to provide an internship opportunity to the IPSF APRO members. So what are your plans and how you are initiating the same thing? Secondly, I want to know about your strategy and regarding the interprofessional collaboration.
Rajesh, one question for one new comment, please. Okay. So if it's okay with you, could you please repeat your first question and then subsequently submit a new comment for a second question? Could you first please repeat your first question, please?
Okay, so my first question is, you mentioned in your application that you are planning to provide an internship opportunity for IPSF APRO member organization. So what are your plans and strategies to initiating the same? So how are you going to do that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh. I just want to get a clarification from Bill whether Bill had the question clear? Bill, is the question clear to you? Okay, thank you. Bill, 1 minute, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, Rajesh, for your question. So when it comes to the internship opportunities, this will be following a competition, and then the prize will be an internship opportunity with one of our existing partners, or maybe a new partner that we will be having during the next mandate. So for example, this will be an online internship so that it is sustainable and it is visible for everyone in IPSF APRO, may it be from the different countries, to join the internship opportunity. And then this will also be something that we will be working closely together with the RRO, as well as our external partner, which maybe, for example, during the past, we have had memes, and then during this year, we had the Mother Earth Foundation. So it will be following the same format as the previous year's internship opportunities. Hope that answers your question. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you. Right now, I'd like to pass the floor to Observer Alan from Malaysia. Alan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. This is Alan from Malaysia. Once again, well, I would say once again, thanks for the nomination, but I'll just jump straight to the question. Perhaps you can give us 3 tangible outcomes that we can expect from the tenure once you have finished it. Would that be possible? Thank you.
Thank you, Observer, Alan Observer, for the question. Bill, you have 1 minute. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, Alan, for your question. So for tangible deliverables first, I am expecting that we will be having annual working plans with at least one healthcare student organization, which is IFMSA, for next year. And then second, we will be partnering more with our external stakeholders. So we will be having some memoranda of understanding with our external partners in the coming mandate. And then third, we will be having more participation in our different events in the IPSF APRO events and competitions. Thank you, Alan. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Right now, I'd like to pass the floor to Rajesh Sharma from IPSF India. The floor is yours. Okay. Rajesh has dropped his new comments, so please help him to clear the speaker list. If there are any other members who wish to speak on this motion, please put them in the speaker list before we go for closed discussion. I'll wait for another 20 seconds. Okay, I see that there's none. So I will proceed to close the open discussion for this motion. And I would like to ask Moises to stop